Hey everybody. So I am going to make a sculpture, a tape sculpture in two different ways. Two fingers, two different ways. First way is just right here on this table. And I'll pull off a little piece of tape and make a loop. I'm trying to line it up as best I can so it seems like one continuous piece of tape. I'll just leave that on the table for now. And do it again. Take another piece of tape. Flip it over best you can. Yeah, it's perfect is not necessary, you know that. And then when these things get close together, let's do it more in the middle of the frame here. When they get close together, they just kind of stick together. You can almost feel like a static pulling them together. And continue. All right. The first mistake people make is to loop it the wrong way. You don't want to loop it in the direction so that the sticky part is on the inside. You want the sticky part of the tape facing out so that these will stick together. Now, if they don't land in the right way, if you don't like the way they're stuck together, you can pull them apart. It gets a little hard sometimes, but it's something you get better at as you do it. I just keep making these shapes, and I'm not thinking too much about how they are connecting up. I'm just kind of letting some randomness happen here. I would suggest to vary the size of these loops. Like, don't make them all the same size. Make some small, make some big. And you see what happens when they start connecting. You start losing that circular shape, and they start becoming almost like a beehive. What is it called? Is it a beehive? Is it a honeycomb kind of look? And I just keep adding these different sizes, and they become different shapes, organic shapes. And it would be hard to make this into geometric shapes, but if you want to try that, that could be your sculpture. I think it's much more difficult than this. This is easy just to snap together. Now, this is actually take 2 of this process. I tried to record before, so I have a couple of other ones over here from before. Maybe you can even just let those snap together and things start getting pretty big. The other thing you can do is make a couple and put one on top of the other. That starts looking cool. You start getting some interesting variations and layers. Now when you photograph this, a lot of interesting things can happen. Let's not talk about that yet. Let's make the sculpture first. So that's the first way to do it. It's on a table. You can even maybe drizzle some Elmer's glue down through these to connect them. Just don't do that on the kitchen table. Do it on a piece of paper or something. All right, let's look at the next way. Okay, so the second way to do this is to hang it from something. Maybe inside of a window so the light comes through the sculpture. Looks especially good to do that if you're using transparent tape. So the way I started this, because I did this, this is about a couple days work here, on and off, is just to take a piece of tape, a straight piece of tape, and attach it to something inside of a windowsill. Whatever you like, wherever it works for you. And then just start adding the loops to that piece of tape. I'm just going to continue the one I've got over here. But basically you just hang one piece. Here I have 3 pieces hanging down and have started to combine these loops of tape together. So when I take this little tape over here, we'll see if we can spot it. You get close to the sculpture and it just kind of sticks on easy. There we go. Got to get my finger off of there. Again, vary the size of the loops. So there's some variety to this shape here. You can't help but have variety. I mean, it's an organic thing. It's just kind of growing. Don't exactly know what it's going to look like as I go. Big shapes, little shapes. Let me let this thing you know, grow in this direction now. And as it starts building, these shapes become less and less like circles. They start to look like cells, like plant cells almost. Now, another thing that happens with a sculpture like this is it's very light. So as people walk by it, as doors open and close and windows open and close, it tends to start to move. I'm just using my hands here. Let's get something better than that. It's the book. So depending on where this thing goes, it becomes this moving sculpture. You know what? And I'm going to combine these two. All the pieces that I made before on the table, just by themselves, I still have all those. So maybe I'll just take this whole thing and attach it. I don't know, where does it look good? That could look good. I'll put it right there. It is difficult to start taking these apart. That's good. And again, gravity starts doing some weird things to the shapes of these circles as we go. Maybe I'll add this one down to this bottom piece down here. You can't see, I'll have to tip the camera back for you. Ugh. I don't know about that. How about that? I got this one down at the bottom. It's very organic. Now, I'm going to do something I don't expect you guys to do. This is getting pretty big, and what happens is it gets hard to manage this. The tape is very sticky, and you'll find out that there's a point where it's hard to keep going. So what I'm going to do is take this outside and spray it with something to coat the tape, and so that when I get to a certain point it's not sticky anymore, then I can just keep adding to it. Let's go do that. Now, what I'm using is this can of crystal clear. It's kind of an acrylic spray coating. And the idea is that the sculpture is very sticky right now. It's made of tape. And if I spray this on here, it'll coat all the stickiness on the tape and allow me to just keep adding to it without so much trouble. So I don't expect you guys to do this at home. You don't have this stuff at home, but I'm going to do it here. Check it out. Oh, it's really smelly. This is why I'm not doing it in my basement. So my hope is that it's going to get really big, maybe the size of a, full window, or the size of a glass door or a skylight or something, and it'll just move in the wind. As people open and close doors, it'll just kind of move. I think it's kind of beautiful. What do you think? Let that sit outside for a while and dry off so it's not so stinky before I bring it back inside.